Hello, everyone. Good morning to you if you're out on the West Coast, and good afternoon if you're on the East Coast, and wherever you are in the country. It is pretty hot and it is summer and it is 1 o'clock, but we know many of you are coming from lunch or the many meetings that we tend to have in higher education. So I am Jeff Kallay, your presenter for the very first series, the very first session, that is, of Echo Delta's Summer Sales School 2025 for senior, seasoned, and starting admissions professionals. So we're going to give it just a minute for your other colleagues from across the country to log in. I know we live in a synchronous, asynchronous world, and if you're like me, you like to register for those webinars, probably schedule a meeting or something, and then hopefully watch the content later. So we understand that world. We are very thankful if you are joining us live today for our very first in the series of Summer Sales School. Hopefully, this will not be like your traditional summer sales school. You're going to have a little fun, learn a lot, and I'm going to take your calls, your questions, or your calls. How's that? All right, I got us at 102. I said when we had that many in the room, we were going to start. I see lots of familiar names. That makes me very happy. Andrew, Angela, top of the list. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Echo Delta Summer Sales School for senior, seasoned, and starting admissions professionals. This is the 2025 version, building off of this very popular webinar last summer. So we decided to expand it here at Echo Delta, and I'm going to just dive into it for the sake of time and brevity. And I just want to say I am so thankful that you chose to attend Summer Sales School, and either live today or asynchronous, watching it later. Appreciate you for all you do on the campus visit across the country for all those prospective families. And I also want to take a quick moment to thank my Echo Delta colleagues. The whole team has been a part of this, but definitely shout out to the creative team, Rachel, Tiffany, and also Morgan for all these logistics, and Alex for running the webinar today. So there's that. Let's go ahead and dive in to it as folks are joining on. You are in session one of Summer Sales School. And you know, it's summer, it's sales school. I have my suntan lotion ready. I have my pool beach blanket ready for summer, and I have my fun flamingo uh, beach blanket towel clips. But before we get to dive into all that summer fun, we're going to talk about the campus visit. This is a state of the campus visit webinar. Now, I know in the past, many of you have come for all kinds of tips and tricks, and I am going to provide those. But the liberal arts guy in me is going to give you a lot of research and data. I'm going to ask a lot of questions, toss some ideas out there about the state of the campus visit, dead, dying, or reviving. We hope that you're in a reviving mode. And hopefully, at the end of this webinar, you'll have a couple tips to do all of that. Again, I'm Jeff Kallay, Senior Vice President, Enrollment Consulting at Echo Delta, Campus Visit Guy, champion of the campus visit, doing campus visit consulting along with Michelle Rhodes and Brittany Joyce as well. All right. So one of the things we like to do is train ambassadors before you start taking a tour. Let everyone know the expectations. So we're going to be here for about 4 hours this afternoon. I don't know if that got lots of laughs or chuckles out there in the digital world, but we're going to wrap this up before 2 o'clock Eastern and all the other time zones out there. Again, we know it's hot today. We hope you're staying cool. So do some quick introductions about things. Who am I? How am I a campus visit consultant? How's that work? Then I'm going to present to you a lot of campus visit data, research from Echo Delta, as well as our friends and partners across the $30 billion higher education, great industrial missions complex, as Eric Hoover at the Chronicle of Higher Ed calls it. I think it's really important that we understand that we are in a fourth turning. And if you know me long enough, I tend to preach the book that has really influenced me. And I really want to talk about how the campus visit is going to shift and why. I think we're in these times that are just a bit chaotic, and I'm going to help explain that to you. And then talk about who is soon to be visiting our campus. I will be so happy to say goodbye to Generation X parents, of which I am a proud member, and Gen Z students, and welcome a new generation of college students who will be visiting our campus. Then going to dive into that state of the campus visit, really where are we at in the funnel, what are some short-term things we should be doing, some mid range ideas, and then some little bit more off in the future. And then I want to wrap this up and take your questions because, as I said, we're going to be presenting a lot of theories, a lot of research, a couple ideas, but I always want to be available as a campus visit consultant to take your pressing questions about your campus visit. So hopefully around 1:40 my time, we're going to make that happen. So I'm going to go through this slide deck very fast because I know everyone watching is highly educated and very intelligent, even though you're in summer sales school. And again, I'm your presenter for this first session. And we have another session that you'll get the dates on for next month on July the 15th. And that's going to be very sales focused with Emily Smith and Chris Lewis, and more about that at the end. But I'm going to be your presenter today for the campus visit. So, I have had the great joy for the past 20 some years to be the champion of the campus visit, to audit campus visits, to do consults, to train tour guides, to present about generations and the importance of the campus visit. And I always just like to pause sometimes because I am old, as you can see from the gray hair, about how that all happened. So I grew up in Central Florida, the Tampa Bay area, moved there from Pittsburgh, go Steelers, about a year or so after Walt Disney World opened. So my family and friends and high school and churches found reasons to go to Walt Disney World. That is me with the big hair in the back at the 10th birthday of Walt Disney World here in Florida during grad night, which was an overnight party with bands. We had Tommy Two-Tone, Jenny, and the Pointer Sisters. So then I headed off to Lee College in Cleveland, Tennessee. And as we like to say about Cleveland, Tennessee, second in size, but first in quality, according to the Chamber of Commerce, where I was a first generation college student, graduated in the liberal arts program with a degree in communication, minors in religion and social sciences, thus the very liberal arts content we're going to have today. Moved to Atlanta, got into advertising and marketing agencies, and read a book by Joe Pine and Jim Gilmore, a Harvard Business School press book that defined what I believe. It's not what you do or say, it's how you make people feel. And that book is The Experience Economy. Work is theater, every business is stage. That is the tenet for which we have anchored our campus visit consulting around, and I highly recommend that you read it. I'm going to show it again at the end on your summer reading list. Joined up at MindPower, did some great fun and branding there, but noticed that everyone was talking about branding and recruitment and no one was talking about the visit. So wrote a campus visit consulting plan with Trent Gilbert. We launched it at Target X very early on from 2006 to 2013. Target X spun us off as Render Experiences, and that's the Render team with me and my tie being funny. And Render hung out for a couple years until it was acquired by RNL. And then the pandemic came, and the pandemic has messed everything up in our lives, in our personal lives. I think we as a culture just kind of want to act like it didn't exist. But part of the state of the campus visit is my colleagues, Michelle Rhodes, you see there at Queen's University of Charlotte with me, and Brittany Joyce down at the University of San Francisco. And then I was just at the CIFSA conference, about the 15th one I've been to. Target X was for sponsors. The state of the campus visit is the pandemic is still impacting the campus visit. Some great campus visits just got gutted, and others kind of collapsed, and tour guides didn't sign up. And for delivering tours via masks or not being able to go into buildings, and we went virtual, and then we went back to things we're doing, and families are shifting everything. So we're going to talk about that, but just wanted to give you a background on how one is a campus visit consultant. So now 4 companies: Target X, Render, RNL, Render, and now Echo Delta. where we're having a lot of fun. And Echo Delta is a challenger brand in higher education and marketing. We're an independent firm, which is great. We don't answer to private equity and EBITDA. And we are part of the parent company, CMP, which has done amazing work and industries like travel and tourism and banking. And then Echo Delta is the education branch of that. And you see some logos of schools that both our agency and our consultancy has worked on. And you can always go to echodelta.co. We're not here to do a sales pitch, but we always want everyone to know what we provide in enrollment marketing and enrollment and enrollment consulting services. And we're soon going to launch our new on-demand admissions training and coaching, and you're going to hear about that more later. And you'll watch Emily and Chris's webinar as well. So that's the background of kind of who I am, what I do, what Echo Delta does, and where we're headed on this webinar. Now, as I said, many of you on this webinar are super smart and highly educated. And I know I'm just going to toss concepts out to you and you translate them. But as complex as our brains are, research shows we can only remember three things. So the takeaways I want you to have from today's webinar, the State of the Campus Visit, is you need to embrace the fourth turning. And I'm going to explain that more about what that means. We're also at a pivot because of the fourth turning and many other reasons. We have to rethink the campus visit enrollment funnel within the enrollment funnel. This notion that a family is going to go visit 20 schools over junior spring break and then shorten their list and then go back in the fall as seniors and visit more, then apply, then go to 3 accepted student events, and then finally one enrollment and enroll. I think that luxury of time and money and all those things is changing. And basically, within the funnel, a lot of families are saying, let's see if we get in and let's see how much money they give us, and then let's go visit. And we've got to rethink how campus visits are being staged. And to that end, the third part is we want you to craft a holistic visit experience. We need to be more intentional to blend together that virtual and online tour with the on campus and have them support each other, make that phone our ally and friend. And we're going to talk about that at the end. So that's where we're going, the three things I want you to remember. So let's dive into it. I'm going to show you some campus and some enrollment related campus visit research and data that's come out in the past couple of years. So some from Echo Delta, some from our colleagues. So from EduVentures and Core, why do students choose? And I think that these three things, I think more and more affordability is top of the list. That match of academic programs and reputation, outcomes, value, that feeling that I would fit in and being close to home. I think that fit is all right, is what it's all about. Though I think I have a typo in my slide deck that said feeding. And I think so to that end, I think we've got to really think about the funnel. And I think this is the traditional funnel, thanks to the folks at Acro for providing this. And it's kind of where the funnel has been. And I think then there have been campus visits that follow this same thing. We do great big open houses. We try to get everyone. And then along the way, we narrow our visits in. And then we do more accepted student and orientations. And we go from a broad to an individual. But things are changing with the funnel. So I think it's important to remember where Gen Z is at as traditional age college bound students. And love the team at RNL and the research that they do and their research team with Dr. Raquel Bahara, and just want to share their work with them. So thanks to our friends at RNL. Students want a job. Boy, there's no shocker, right? They want skills for the workplace. I love that almost a third of them have said they want to have fun. We're on a mission to bring back fun. We have asked a lot of college students, what's the fun factor on campus? They kind of look at us and say, what's fun? I think coming out of the pandemic, we all need more fun, and we need to make campus visits more fun, and we need to make campus life more fun. I think that higher ed has been in the media, and a lot of it has not been about the fun college students are having or need to have. It's been about a lot of things that are distracting from that fun. And then they want networking abilities too. So I think it's important that in our campus visits, we are getting across outcomes. We are communicating about the workplace, but we're also communicating about fun. If you are providing place-based and predominantly residential undergraduate education where students are leaving their parents' home, their family's home, and going away to college, fun matters. And let's bring back fun. We also have to understand, according to RNL, that the parents are the co-purchasers in this. It is a co-purchasing decision, and your campus visit has to speak to this audience. And they are two totally different audiences. Like if men are from Mars and women are from Venus or whatever, I don't know, Gen X parents are from Pluto and Gen Z students are like from Earth, right? We've got to share both. We've got to make them, we've got to really bring them in. And I think we've got to also realize that we have a hunch within Echo Delta's campus visit team that probably 85% of campus visit registrations are done by the mom or the mom-like person in this. Because I think when we say parents, we're really using that as ubiquitous term for supportive adults, right? But I think if you want to get more campus visits, here's a tip. Send more emails to parents because they're the one driving this co-purchasing process. They're the one registering for the visits. They're the one making the logistics happen. So I think that while they're registering through the website and promotion of it, send more emails to parents and you'll get more visitors, most likely. So about these parents, at a SACAC after the pandemic, the Echo Delta team was attending in Florida down by Disney and talking about parents today. And I think that higher ed still acts like parents don't exist. It happens on campus tours all the time. We ask the names, we ask the students their name, hometown, and major, and then we look at parents as if they don't exist. And that you go out on the tour, as we do to a lot of them, and the very first people to ask question are parents. So Echo Delta did a deep dive into the attitudes of today's Gen X parents. You can download it on our website in both a full PDF form and the mobile version. And there's a couple points that I want to dive into you, but I think in understanding the influencer that is the parent, understanding what they want out of your campus visits, you need to download it. So our research found that there are predominantly four attitudes of a Gen X parent, right? Of where they fit into in this kind of persona related to college search. The invested parent who's ready to go, believes in higher ed. The skeptical who doesn't believe in higher ed, doesn't think it's worth the money, has probably been hearing a lot in the news about higher ed. The anxious Gen X parent who's really concerned about safety and mental health. We hear, ask your guides top questions. How safe is it? Is it safe? Are we going to see the counseling center? How do you manage time management? I think that we've got to address these anxious parents more and upfront and authentically and more direct on campus tours. And then the inclusive that believes higher ed should be more accessible. And if you look at the chart next, it almost breaks out about a quarter each. However, with the anxious and the skeptical, or the anxious being the highest, right? I think everyone is scared in different reasons, and the notion of sending a child away to college can be scary for some parents. So I think it's important to understand that you can have parents who fit into these and are on your tours, and how to address them and how to listen to their questions so you really know what persona they are. So the one data point of, I think, the 34 points, and I encourage you, why I'm talking about this slide, to bring up your phone and scan that QR code and download this report, because it's really going to help you rethink the co-purchasing element of the Gen X parent. Number one, top of the list, not just the cost of college, but the cost of living while in college, right? Inflation, everything's expensive. So what about travel? But what really stood out to me and why I show this when I present on campus or in webinars about the campus visit is the next one's really, I thought it was immediately get a job. But when you, and these percentages are all four of the types of Gen X attitudes together, right? So my child's ability to keep up with academic pressure. So is your campus visit talking about all the support and making that happen? Are your tour guides telling stories about their transitions from high school to the academics on your campus, and they're their conflicts and their resolution and their failures and their lessons learned, right? To that same point, my child's ability to stay motivated and focused on their education. And then my child's ability to cope with stress, my child's mental health, and then my child's ability to get a job following graduation. I we take so many campus tours, and so many times the tone and the information session is still as if it is speaking to a idealistic baby boomer parent on these very high-end parts of Maslow's hierarchy, when we know that Gen X parents are in a more grounded reality, want to know the reality of their situation. And I think in many ways we are afraid to talk about these things that parents are concerned about upfront and honestly. We just want to ramble on about how great our academics are. So let's really embrace Gen X parents while we still have them coming at us. I also think if you can, put a bar in your visitor center, and that will take care of everything before you go out on tour. No, that's a joke. Well, maybe it's not a joke. So all of these parents fit into American generational cycles. And if you have worked with me, heard me present, you know I have two passions. I love being the champion of the campus visit, being an experienced economist, that it is the memories that we create, it is not what we do or say. And then I love American generational theory, predominantly Neil Howe and William Strauss. I just borrow their work, promote their work, tell everyone to read their books, because what Howe and Strauss say is that in America, we never become our grandparents, that there is a repetition of personalities and types and this generational theory. And so in America as a country, we've had four cycles anchored around historical moments. You see on the bottom the revolutionary cycle, you see their names. Then the Civil War cycle, that was the one time we did not have a civic generation, we weren't together. The Great Power cycle, a lot of schools listening today and out there in higher ed of the largest and most diverse higher education system on earth. A lot of immigrants that came across the oceans brought their religion with them, founded a lot of schools. Literally, we trained up a generation missionary, then the lost, the GI, the greatest. My parents were born into the silent. So we are currently in what we call the millennial cycle, right? And we started higher ed after World War II, and we had a lot of babies. Well, not started, but we had this kind of boom once a lot of baby boomers were of college age, and we built a lot of really bad postmodern and brutalist architecture on college campuses. Toss in those on the GI Bill. Then all of a sudden, there weren't enough students in Generation X, today's parents, and we're in enrollment cliff because there weren't enough parents having enough babies, and we have babies later in life and less of them. And this is when the marketing of higher education was created because there weren't enough Gen Xers. Then baby boomers got busy and started having millennials in 1982, first year of birth, first year of graduating from high school to the year 2000, thus the name millennials. And then they came at higher ed in a boom, and there were a lot of them. And we went on construction booms, and then not enough students, tiny Generation Z. So predominantly today's parents are from Generation X, Generation Z. You see birth years, everyone argues birth years. As I say, don't get caught up in birth years, get caught up in how you feel. And that is that, are you that idolist kind of generation, the one reacting to the chaos, civically coming together, or the last, the adapters? And we are going to turn out of this cycle and are bringing on a new cycle. And we're going to talk about that with the fourth turning. Gen X parents, there's something else. I love my generation, but as I like to tell everyone, I think that the Heathers and Ferris Bueller are now parents and they're coming on campus tours. So baby boomers, we call it helicopter parents because they hovered. Gen X does not hover. You all have been attacked by Gen X parents in some form or fashion, as in stealth. You do not see them coming. They will lay an atomic bomb on you and your campus, or your tour guides lay waste and fly away. And if they're not that, they are the lawnmower snowplower generation. They have just been mowing everything out of the way for their Gen Z children in the chaos of the 21st century. And either way, snowplow, stealth, it's aggressive, right? But to that point, Niche has come out with some great data, right? Because we got a co-purchasing Gen X parents, but the students are saying that they want to see academic buildings, and we always say specific to them. Just because you have a brand new state of the art, whatever that you want to show off, and your president and board and faculty wants to show off, does not mean that students, every student on tour wants to see that building. They want to talk to current students. Your job as a campus visit stager is to figure out how to put as many students as possible in front of them. Lobby host, multiple tour guides out on a tour, either a team of two that are talking, or changing tour guides out on tour, or wrapping up with the student. They want to see residence halls plural. I cannot say this enough. They don't want to see just one. They really want to see all of them, and they want to see them in person. And they are coming to your campus to see these things in person. They really don't want to talk to your faculty, that we seem to think that's magic. Probably later down the enrollment funnel, yes, they will want to talk to faculty. They don't want to talk to staff. They want to see dining, but they don't want to eat in dining. I think that that is probably intimidating for them right now, and a generation that has been raised kind of coming out of the pandemic. So I think it is really important. Look at these top things. Which specific academic buildings do you want? And how do you bring in more students into the conversations while on tour? And how are you going to expand more and more and more housing? It is where the tour is most engaged. Ask your tour guides and ambassadors. They will tell you this is where they have the most questions, and you need to up your game with that. Now, similar to Niche, our friends at Encora did some research about the campus visit. And I think what hurt me as the campus visit expert and consultant is after the pandemic, if you look at the first one, why you chose where to apply, campus visit was top of the list out there at 60 some percent. It has now dropped to three with college website and email. Still, the power of emails. If Brian Niles, the founder of Target X, was here, I'd say, hey, still power of emails. But look at that next chart. And in the aqua blue and summer sail school colors, you will see what students want to see on campus and what they want to do virtually. And I think we put people in a room, and for an hour and a half on an information session, we bombard them with how you get in and how do you pay for it, when all that can be done virtually. And what they really want to see is what your campus looks like. Again, where am I going to live and eat? They want to explore the location of this campus. So you've got to bring your location in with more maps, with tips, with podcasts for after they leave. And they want to see the campus community, and then they want to get into things. So we got to rethink our tours during this time to get our campus visits from dead and dying to reviving. We also know that now students, according to Niche, this last part here, 83% of students who took a visit said they are enrolling at the college that offered the best visit experience. This is the experience economy, right? You are being judged on your visit in so many ways. So I think it's really important to realize that they're thinking, if you can't stage a good visit, what kind of education experience are you staging? So it is all about the visit. And I think because we need to do better and we need to host more guest-centered tours, we need to make it more about the visitors. We need to stop being boring. We need to bring in more fun. We are now seeing this percentage. If you look at the green, 34% students say that they took an unofficial or independent visit. They are going to your campus. They are bypassing admissions. They are bypassing the visitor center. They have their apps. They have your self-guided tour, whatever, and they're going to look on their own because I think they don't view the campus visit as fun or relevant. And that's why we're here to talk about going from dead and dying to reviving. And the campus tour is still a large part of the visit process, particularly according to our friends at RNL and Campus ESP. The campus visit still matters, so we've got to make it better for those families. And your parents have got to be a part of your enrollment strategy. So more on the RNL campus visit data, right? That the importance of experience is still at the top. The Our Campus Visit, according to this with Campus ESP, is 96%, and virtual visits are down there lower. Now, here's my take on virtual visits. Some tech bro in his Tesla took his daughter on campus tours and said, "Oh, I can make this better." I think that virtual tours have a bias built into them of tech bro, rich white people bias. And I think for whom virtual visits are really truly serving um, students who are more first gen, students with lesser means, those that really need to see it virtual. I think that most virtual visit content does not support the audience for whom is using it the most. And that's my take on this. I am not a virtual visit person. I am the on campus person, but that was just my opinion of things. So all this comes down that we got to put fun back in the funnel. And I want to thank our friends at Magellan Promotions, right? They're the official merch. It's not swag, it's merch of, I like to say, of higher ed. There's Michael and his team at NACAC. And there is Stephanie at the University of Richmond with her I Put Fun in the Funnel sticker showing us at NACAC last year as well. And I love the Magellan funnel because this is what we need to do. At first campus visit, it is about raising awareness. Then we need to really engage in engagement more as we get into closer to the application process. And then I think what we really need is we need more excitement and we need more fun at accepted students or orientation. And we need to really rethink within the funnel, how is our campus visit hitting on these cylinders? Now, we don't trust institutions. That is decayed here in our fourth turning, but Gen X was original in not trusting institutions. And I think that what we need to admit is all the questions about food, housing, safety, is there a hospital? All of these things need to be addressed up front on your campus visit registration in the communication and when they come to visit. These once I think we talk about housing and food and you will be taken care of, and we will try our best to make you safe. Once we cover the basis of Maslow's hierarchy, then we can move the content forward further up. But I think we still in higher ed on campus visits and in the marketing and the execution of them, we just go right to the highest part of Maslow's hierarchy when students are like, that's great. Where am I going to live? So you got to flip your hierarchy mindset and really think about how are you addressing the wants and needs that students have. So that's wrapping up the data. So now let's talk about the fourth turning we're in and who's coming at you. And that's those alphas that are coming at us soon. All right. So here's where we're at. This is one book on your reading list. It is, there we go. It is The Fourth Turning is Here by Neil Howell, not the original The Fourth Turning, which is 20 years old, but what the seasons of history tell us about how and when this crisis will end. So I think it's important that we understand that we are in a turning. I'm going to explain this to you. And right now, we're in a crisis. It is literally called the millennial crisis. And this is a time of upheaval when values regime propels and the replacement of an old civic order with a new one, right? I want to read you from the intro of The Fourth Turning is Here. One paragraph in the prologue called Winter is Here. At home, Americas are turning inward. We are building walls around our immediate perimeter to protect our town, our tribe, our kin. The old baby boomers are spending more money and time investing in their own children and grandchildren. The young, hedging their bets, move less, stay closer to their families, mortgage their future to buy a credential rather than a home, and increasingly marry later in life and only within their own class. So basically, here's what happens. Across all these generations, there are turns that happen as we go. So let me just kind of say that what happens is with baby boomers, they were in a high, right? Pax Americana, height of American empire after World War II. And then we began to question institutions, and we had a conscientious revolution when we questioned things, and that was a second turning, right? And an awareness, Haight-Ashbury, Woodstock, all these things that Gen X grew up in, the Jesus people of the 70s and that. And then so after a high and then kind of an awakening, then we went into what is really kind of a decaying of institutions during the culture wars that millennials were raised in. And now we're all mad at each other and we've defined ourselves to red and blue and labels and everything. And we're in this crisis that Gen Z is in that is playing itself out. We have been here before as a country after the Revolutionary War, after the Civil War, and after World War II. We will get through this And part of who's going to help us get through this is the new generation. And you see the dates up there. And the new generation coming at you are alphas. And alphas have been born predominantly to millennials. Finally, millennials, as I like to say, are putting down the avocado toast and are in the verb adulting. So we're so happy for that. We know that as Gen Z is different from millennials, and millennials were different than Gen X, and Gen X was different than boomers as students on college campuses and on their campus tours. We know alphas are going to be completely different than Generation Z. Some people put alphas at a 2010 start date. Some people put them at 2014. Again, everything is fluid. We're still trying to figure this out. We don't have the luxury of history, but we do know that they are wired, they are connected, and they are serious. Predominantly baby boomer grandparents and millennial parents, and we know that they want to heal and fix, right? So top jobs are medicine. Almost 17% of them want to be teachers. So they have grown up, right? They're either 14 at the oldest or 10 in this chaos and crisis that we're in a fourth turning, and they want to heal and fix it. So that's going to be, I think, really exciting. So where we are in a co-purchasing unit right now, the state of the campus visit is we are going to shift to a tri-purchasing. And I want to say hats off to Hispanic and Latinx families because they're already multi-generational when they come to visit. And I love when I get to see that on campus tours. But you now need to begin planning for a campus visit that will feature baby boomer grandparents, who, by the way, baby boomers are sitting on the largest amount of wealth ever created in the history of humanity. From 52 trillion to 72 trillion, right? So they're the ones spending money on their kids and grandkids. Yay for net tuition revenue, right? Orlando is my home airport, which I joke is Dante's third layer of hell for business people. And if you look at travel and tourism like Orlando or auto advertising and marketing, you see this tribe purchasing existing, the parent, grandparent, and then the alpha children. I see it on every plane that I'm on, this close family unit, and that is going to come to you on a campus tour. You know, baby boomers created the campus tours. We know it. I started campus visit consulting with the millennial boom and baby boomer parents. So they are going to be used to boomeranging around as grandparents. And so now you're going to have to stage a campus visit that markets to this tri-generational. It's a completely different set of messaging than boomers and Xers. And I'm telling you now, during the state of the campus visit, you better get ready for it because we don't have enough time. I think we still have a lag where I think many people in higher ed still think we're dealing with boomers and millennials and have yet to caught up with that. So as we wrap it up with the state of the campus visit, I've told you who's coming at you. Now let's get you going, dying, reviving. And I just want to say you need to read this essay by W. Kent Barnes at Augustana College. It lit up my world on LinkedIn, and he basically said that more students are looking at things online. They are not visiting as many. They are delaying their visits. So now it is more about yield and accepted students than before. So we at Echo Delta, our one of our principals, Jarrett Smith, does a phenomenal podcast, the Higher Ed Marketing Lab, and he interviewed Kent and myself about this. And you can go to echodelta.co to find this. And we built off that essay that was inside Higher Ed and had a really great dialogue about where the campus visit is and where it's going in its state. But I think we have to realize the behavior of the audience has changed and we need to adjust our funnels. We need to stop acting like it was before the pandemic, and we just can't bring the binder off the shelf for events and campus visits. We've got to create a new, and we've got to work on these 6 things. My colleagues, Michelle and I, and Brittany and I tour campuses so much, and we're like, where are the students? And parents are asking, where are the students? I think we in higher ed failed miserably when we came back from the pandemic. We just kind of just thought we'll hit the start button and everything's going to return. And students are not out and about. They're getting their food to go and they're going into their dining halls. And little bit by little bit by little bit, But whatever you can do to get more students out, and let me just say, the best gift you can offer a campus tour is a class change because brands are mirrors. We purchase based upon conforming self image. And back to the research that I showed you, they want to see students. Is this my fit? Is this my community? Anthropologically, is this my posse? So you have to schedule your campus tours to be significant at times when your students are on and about or are on a class change or when that student center or dining hall or fitness center is really thriving. So no more where the students are, we've got to dress so that question is not being asked. Still to this day, in almost 20 years of consulting, we've been trying to work on stories that champion your stats, but do not overwhelm everyone with stats. And also, let's remove from our vernacular, do you have any questions? Right? That is a closed-ended questions and family answer yes or no with their silence. So we need to train ourselves to tell better stories, to have our tour guides tell better stories, and to ask better questions. So much of higher ed on the campus visit is we're staging visits for everyone except our guest. So I really want you to take a look at everything. This is what we do in our consulting process is who are we staging the campus visit for? I don't care if you just build a brand new state-of-the-art building. If I'm not interested in that major, you are wasting my time. And in the experience economy world, we have this thing of time well spent or time well saved. And your campus visit needs to do both of those. And it really needs to be guest centric from the start of your parking to your plumbing, right? Where are the restrooms? All these things to the tour route. Who are we really staging this for? Are we staging it for our president, for our faculty? Or are we staging it for prospective families? Ground zero is clean up your campus, have that aesthetic sense of place, branding on buildings. Our tip, what we give clients is if you can't clean up everything on campus, pay attention to your tour route and pay attention to those thresholds. That's where campus tours slow down. They all funnel through one door. Everyone's looking around. So make sure that those areas are well lit, or well landscaped, are well branded. Those thresholds in and out of campus, but get more branding out on campus, have more sense of place, and really connect with best fit students. We need to concentrate on that meaty middle, not the fringes. I think so many campus tours are being designed for students that are not going to come to your school when you really need to stage it for those that have the highest propensity to enroll. And you want to give them a toolkit. This is where I say about being more holistic. You want to give them um, uh, self-guided things to follow. You want to give them print. You want to give them that toolkit to go create their own stories, memories, and experiences. So here's what we know. The campus visit is shifting in the funnel. I don't want you to be boring or say the same thing and craft a holistic campus as we are wrapping it up. Hey, there's the flamingo like I had on my clip, right? So we got to figure out and know that they're changing in the funnel, and we can't be boring. Kudos to Furman University. I love their campus visit language, right? Your dream college with a view, and then you dive into it. No matter how or when you visit Furman, you'll notice there's something different about this campus nestled in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. During our time with us, you'll see the Furman Advantage in action, our innovative approach to liberal arts that prepares students to leave their mark on the world, and you'll experience our residential campus that is beautiful as it is welcoming. Are you ready to check out the top private college in South Carolina? If they have clicked on visit, they do not need to be convinced with the language of the best way to find out about a school is to visit. That's boring. Don't be boring. Manage the expectations, give them something exciting, give them fun. Probably something that just made me chuckle is TCU's registration lingo, right? We've done more tours than the Rolling Stones. We can introduce you, which is great for Gen X, right? Which we can introduce you to our beautiful campus in a number of ways, but the best and most popular is to tour in person, bring a guest or two, and comfy shoes. It's fun, it gets to the point, then the logistics of it all and visiting in person gets to the point. So lastly, we have been saying, let's make this phone our ally and friend, and it's telling me I need to get to your Q&A, right? So we've been suggesting create an online photo album that chronologically supports your tour and allows families to tour it with to scan a QR code, and tour guides can reference things and think of it as an augmented reality. If it's a hot summer, show your quad in the snow, right? If it's snowy, show your quad in the summer. Show photos of commencement that happened. Show behind the walls that they can't see. If you go into a gym, show photos of what the gym looks like during a game, right? Just a simple photo album that is updated regularly, that supports the narrative, that brings our phone in as an ally. And this is just a simple, easy, inexpensive way to enhance the storytelling, to enhance the visuals, creating that online collaboration. So that's where we're at the state of the campus visit, dead, dying, or reviving. We talked about data. We talked about the fourth turning and how you need to update your visit, but then shift it for who is next. And now we want to wrap it up with your questions. But of course, you have a summer reading list. I want you to read Neil Howe's The Fourth Turning is Here when you're at the beach or the mountains. I want you to read Joe Pine and Jim Gilmore's The Experience Economy. It has also had many updates, and you want this cover, the more recent. And then if you don't want to read a Harvard Business School Press MBA kind of level book, as I say, you want to read Disney Institute Be Our Guest to make us more guest centric. You also want to stay connected with Echo Delta. Go to echodelta.co. We got our insights blog. We have our research up there. We just also have the politics of college choice. More and more that's playing out. And we have our podcast, the Higher Education Marketing Lab, including that one from February about the campus visit. So you're going to embrace the fourth turning. You're going to rethink the campus visit funnel. And you're going to craft a holistic campus visit experience. All right, I think we are at time for Q&A. I am looking at the Q&A. I don't see any in the Q&A. If you have specific questions of me or you want to learn more about campus visit consulting, what we do at Echo Delta, QR codes are right there. If you have questions, please put them in the chat or the Q&A session and I will respond to them because I can multitask and be your presenter and look at things on Zoom. One QR code to book a call with me to learn more about how we can help you shift your campus visit, or read our website and check out the new case studies that we have posted. And of course, follow me on LinkedIn, where I try to give campus visit tips, lessons from the experience economy, and share a lot of photos from those travels. So either I have bored you, or you've headed out to the pool and you don't have any questions and you have your reading list, or maybe I'm in the wrong Zoom. But please, if you have questions regarding what I have presented or something that you thought you were going to learn in today's webinar, please post in the, okay, here's some questions. Do you think campus visits should be with an individual tour guide per family or multiple families per one tour guide? Okay, Anonymous. I think that depends upon where they're at in the funnel. I think that you need to remember that brands are mirrors, and that also includes prospective students. We like a nice tour that is never bigger than your student to teacher ratio, and that includes everyone. And I think that you have to do what works best for you. But I think that maybe with today's audience, one tour guide's great, but sometimes magic happens with another group. And I think if you're going to send a group out, you might want to send out two tour guides. You want to make sure that you do really good intros so they all get to know each other and are involved as a group, not just a bunch of strangers across the way. All right, Andrew, Miami University, what's your best advice for setting expectations for what people will and won't see on the tour? This to me is all about the campus map. I think that that campus map, I think it's twofold. I think it's in the beginning, letting them know, on your registration, letting them know, in the communication, letting them know, when they're there, repeating it at the start of your intro session, and then literally with the campus map, explain the route, what they're going to see, what they're not going to see, how you're going to help them do that. And then your ambassador tour guides have to do the very next thing before they give their tour. They can't just say, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a major, and I'm from, let's go. No one likes being lost. So I hope that answers your question. Um, Kylie has a question. Do you have any recommendations for balancing between creating fun individualized experience, but also tailoring it for influencers as well? How do we meet everyone in the middle? I think that there is a point in the funnel. I think that we have to recognize that both parents and students are coming. I think we need to verbalize that. I think it's fine for tour guides to say, and this part of the tour is really going to appeal to parents. I think it's just owning that they're in it together, owning that parents are asking most of the questions. So I think training your ambassadors to connect with those influencer parents. And then I think as you get further down the funnel and those students and families are more emotionally connected to you and safe, particularly with the accepted student, you can kind of cut that umbilical cord and send parents out on a tour that I think meets more of their needs, and then send students out on a tour. So I hope that helps. Do you have any examples on schools transforming their campus visit experience and what they did to boost for more visit? I think it is really taking a look at where is campus visit on your funnel, excuse me, on your website. It should be above the fold and on every page. Don't make families to click out. Don't bury it. Get right to the point of the offerings. More is not better. I think we throw so many things out at families of what they can do, and they look at it and they're like, what? But I think other people have taken a look at what works for them on weekends, be it Saturday or Sundays, more and more twilight tours. But I think just good old going through the registration process, but also being smarter and better on your promotion of the campus visit. I get a lot of campus visit promotion and it's all boring. It says the same thing. So don't be boring. Guidance you might add about program specific visits with hands on engagement and interaction with current majors, and how to connect all that info with parents. I think parents are happy sitting in a room and being PowerPointed. I do think that students want to meet students in their major. They want to do those hands on with students from that major or college or school. So I think you can really craft a smaller campus tour that covers the basics of Maslow's hierarchy, food, housing, library, wellness, athletics, and then create customization to academics, part of that, instead of taking everyone into every academic building. And Susan at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, an Echo Delta client. What is the average duration of a campus tour? Susan, as long as it takes to show your beautiful campus there in downtown Pittsburgh. But I think we have to realize if you hit the minute and 10, you have to give what we call the three B's: bio, beverage, and butt. You have to give them a break. You need to sit them down. You need to offer them restrooms, and you need to offer them something to drink, either that's refilling a bottle of water or going into the coffee house halfway. I think student centers are a great place to do this. They just need a little break, but it needs to take as long as it needs to take. And I think more clients are engaging into what we call walking riding hybrids, where they're bringing in some form of transportation to show more of campus without sending families on a death march. But I think it is also so important that you manage these expectations in your registration and your communication. Your visit will take this long. Here's what it's going to be. But I also don't want to say rush them through. They really need to understand for a best fit what is going on your campus. I hope that answered questions for you. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you, Kylie, Andrew, and Anonymous. I think I got everyone. And again, our case studies at echodelta.co. And the case studies, we just published some new case studies about how many schools are creating walking riding hybrids, are doing things that are related to the questions that you have asked. And again, book a call with me to learn more and learn about campus visit consulting. And I hope that you've enjoyed our first session on Summer Sales School, the state of the campus visit, dead, dying, or reviving. Hope that you take away what you're doing really well and some ideas or thoughts to get your campus visit to a reviving world and a thriving world that is now in the moment. It is not pre-pandemic and is ready for the shift for those boomer grandparents, millennial parents, and those alpha students who want to heal and fix. Next up in summer sales school for senior seasoned and starting admissions professionals, session 2, July 15th. Awesome, awesome presentation. It's going to be a lively conversation between Emily Smith and Chris Lewis on avoiding dead end recruitment combos. Ask better questions, get real answers. Ask better questions, get real answers. All three of us are the presenters for Echo Delta's soon to be launched on demand admission sales training. And I know you are going to enjoy that conversation on Tuesday, July 15th, far more than this one. Share it with your colleagues, share it with your friends. Stage great campus of visit experiences, embrace the four turning, don't be boring, and most of all, have fun and bring back fun and have a great, great summer. It is now 1:56 Eastern Time. We were scheduled till 2 p.m. I want to thank you again. Thank my Echo Delta colleagues again. We'll see you on the 15th. And thank you for joining this first session and have a great summer. Stay cool and stay hydrated. Thanks for joining. See you on the 15th of July.